All right, so this one is about you, Gemini. Welcome. Thanks for coming to Tarot Lumination. That's Tarot Lumination, that's you. This is your mini general report for April 2018. You know, these are very, very broad spectrum spiritual uh, type of readings here. I use the Journey of the Heart spread that I kind of concocted, and I love doing it this way because it comes straight from the core of the heart, a part of us which is often ignored, but I think it really needs to be exposed, okay? Now, before cards were already well shuffled in advance, but I'm going to shuffle a bit more. But before I even do that, I'm going to do what I've been doing with everyone else, just to sort of keep everything fair and even. Give you these are my own doodles that I make for myself, for my own illumination. Otherwise, I come unglued like you guys, or like people do. Put it that way. I just want you to mark some calendar dates that are going to be significant for everybody, and then we'll get back to you in just a moment. Okay, March 31st. Okay, that's March, but this is going to have a strong impact through at least the good first half of April. Okay, it's a very, very challenging aspect. It's coming straight off the full moon right at the end of March, with the Aries Libra axis heavily pressured by the Capricorn over there. Next, we have the new moon. Okay, April 15th. Okay, just keep an eye out for that time. A lot of pressure uh, on the Aries energy from all the Capricorn energy. Okay, so wherever this lies in your chart, that's where you're going to feel the pressure. Same thing for here. Wherever this triangle sits in your chart, that's where you're going to feel the pressure. Okay, next, kind of an oddball date. I spotted this in the middle of the month. You need to be very aware here. It's April 21st, okay? It'll just be a few days. The moon is transiting here in Cancer, but it's in very hard opposition to all the Capricorn, and all that Capricorn is still in a hard square to the Aries. So just be aware of that, okay? Lastly, right at the end of the month, April 29th, it's a big shift in energy for everybody, and it's with this Taurus Sun Scorpio moon. It's a full moon. It's a very harmonious, kind of fun full moon, but it again depends on how that sits for you in your chart. Now, I'm not going to stress about the planets too much for you here in this reading, Gemini, because in some ways, a bit like Sagittarius and a couple other signs, you're getting a bit of clear passage. There's nothing hitting on you directly, okay? Nothing. So in a way, you're kind of lucky. These energies are still there. It's just like weather, but it's almost like you get to ride out the storm. Put it that way. All right, Gemini, so let's go for it. Cards are already shuffled well in advance. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Okay, sorry about that. I love the cards the way they were made, and the stories are more than full enough as they are. Okay. So, you know the routine. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising, and squish it all together, because sometimes these readings sound like total nonsense to, depending on, the sun, moon, and rising aspect of yourself. And the convention with the tarot, even though we don't really have to, the convention is for the simplicity is that we gauge them according to the astrological archetypes. Okay, so here we go. Let's have a look. I'm just about done, and there we are. All right, please bring your angels into the reading, okay, Gemini? Tarot Illumination is doing the same here. We're going to share, okay? Make it a group effort. Okay, there we go. There's the cut. Okay, let's have a look. So bear with me here. Here's the core heart center energy, okay? You might not know what this is. You might not feel it. You might not be aware of it. It is a very powerful current. Sometimes it's very, very dissociated from our conscious waking self, and we don't even know what it is, what it's saying. Over here is legacy energy. This might be all the stresses that you might have endured through the really very, very strong Pisces current we had recently, which would have been a very hard square onto you, very challenging for you. And you might be having a bit of a hangover effect from that period, as everything that was needing to be revealed in order for healing was revealed, okay? You might be sailing just fine. We don't know. Here's the energy of the ever-present now, where you own all your power. and where it can be very difficult to stay sometimes because it's so much easier to rest on the status quo or our past, our history, and use that as a platform or a template for what we could think of or project for our so-called future. But it is here where the power lies. And the power is executed through the healing power of your decisions, okay? Moment by moment, beat by beat, heartbeat by heartbeat. The heart is always, always doing everything, everything it can for you every moment of every day. So it behooves you to serve the heart as well. But a lot of us don't listen, okay? The heart is always pumping the nutrients that you need, pumping out the waste matter that you don't need, sending it into the waste systems, okay? So how do you execute your decisions effectively so that you bring the most love to you and your heart, which is ultimately the best for the whole planet, not just you, and so that this pumping system works to optimal levels, which would deliver consequence, okay? Now, if you are not in tune with this kind of perspective of living, and you prefer to outsource all your power and your decision-making faculties to others, other institutions, places, ways of life, conditioning, whatever, then this would feel more like fate. Okay? Over here, when you're making your decisions, no matter how conscious and aware and how present, there's always a risk that things might not be quite so. So, what does that look like if we mess up? On the other hand, what does it look like if we do a good job and love ourselves accordingly? In other words, we hit a bullseye. Over here would be the, let's say, prospects, the momentum leading straight into the next heart. The heart never stops. It's always pumping out, then sucking in, and then pumping out, sucking it in, pumping it out. Okay? Under here is the weather. We're going to look at that in just a moment, and that's conditional, circumstantial, excuse me. And you, Gemini, like the rest of the readings that we do here, you're going to make the best of it. The weather doesn't own you. It's just circumstantial. So you have the magician. Right now, my feeling here is to, my first gut instinct was to like, wake up, Gemini, wake up. Please realize how incredibly lucky you are. No matter how bumpy it might have been through March, getting through that period, please understand that you're still here. If you're watching this video, you're still here. So that's a miracle in itself, okay? And please understand that the expression of power and your ability to be your most optimal self is always there for you. The resources are all around you, whatever it takes, people, knowledge, ideas, situations, resources, whatever it is. And it's up to you to conjure that and move that in such a way, and wave your wand in such a way for the best maximum outcomes possible. But it does take a lot of conscious awareness to be there. My feeling here with the magician is to be extremely aware. Be conscious, be fully aware, okay? Understand it's the perfect time for you to decide to let love in, let the love and healing in, and to move it, like literally, like this is a chance to be an instrument, okay? That's all. Let's have a look at the core heart energy here. Well, in some ways, I'm very happy for you. I feel like you got a kind of a lucky break here with the sun, in that maybe this is just like, again, like the weather. It's just one of those periods, moments in time in history for you, Gemini, where the sun is shining from the inside out. And if it's not that way, then you would have to ask why, understand where and why are things out of whack. Because if your heart is screaming for this and it's being obscured because your, let's say, attention is elsewhere, then please listen to the heart saying, I need love, I need light, I need joy, I need happiness, I need the raw, simple energy of joy and feeling really, really good. The other thing is that, of course, if this is what your heart is pulsing right now, then you can celebrate this and enjoy this and share this in your world, literally like a lighthouse, like a beacon, like a glowing disco ball of love. Okay? And so in that way, I'm happy for you. The question is, are you aware? Are you listening? Are you fully, please, are you fully aware of how valuable this is, about how lucky you are at some way, some aspect of your life? Even if certain aspects of your life are very debilitating and miserable, you still have a heart at the core, you know? I meet a lot of people who are very deeply challenged, and some of them do an excellent job of creating happiness from the inside out, like a furnace, like they're indestructible. Okay? So all I'm saying is that this might be one of those shining moments where you are glowing. What are you bringing in with you here? Legacy. Okay. Well, it looks to me like this is an indication that you've been working really hard to try and get yourself in alignment, and to some degree you have done that. Okay? To the point where you can live by example. It doesn't mean you have to show off or anything. This is nothing pompous or anything here with the King of Swords energy. Forget the gender. This to me indicates that it's like you're bringing in the wisdom and the lessons that you've learned from some of the hardship that you've had to endure recently, and that you're doing a good job of integrating that into your being and showing that to the world in such a way that, it doesn't have to be obvious or anything, but if someone came to you in trouble and they needed your light and your love, you would be able to administer that in the most effective ways possible, literally like being an instrument of the healing power of love. Okay? I know a lot of people associate that kind of energy with the Pisces and the Scorpios and the Cancers and everything like that, but we're all instruments in some way or another. All of us are. And it might be just an opportune moment right now for you, Gemini, to understand that you're as much as an instrument as anyone else. And by invocation, you can ask for the healing power of love to fill your life from up above. Then you can own it and you can share it. Bring the love into yourself first. Love yourself first. Okay, have a look here. What about the now? Gosh, we've got some big cards for you here at Gemini. Maybe you went to Vegas recently, Las Vegas, and you got lucky on the lottery or something. So my feeling here is that part of you is aware of how lucky you are at this moment in time. I'm just looking at this as one of those light bulb moments where, like this aha awakening, like, my gosh, some of what Terra Illumination says is not so wacko after all. Some of this stuff is actually for real. That's very, very cool. And then you start to realize, you start to look around like, oh my gosh, I am guided, I am protected. I thought that was just something you scream out to heaven when your life is a piece of doo-doo. But no, you can actually be that yourself. You can actually literally be an instrument of the healing power of love, and you can radiate the energy of uh, almost like being a guide and being a protector, not only to your others and significant others in your world, but to yourself, where you realize that by deliberate invocation, by invoking, I am guided, I am protected, I am guided, I am protected, I am guided, I am protected, that starts to become a reality for you. And then the more you own that, the more you radiate that as a way of life, as a way of being. And that's very, very wonderful. Now, it might be hard to stay there because might feel as though you're very disembodied from three-dimensional day-to-day Earth. You're like living life as an Earth angel, so to speak, which can be very challenging. The role of Earth angels is very, very, very challenging for a lot of them because it's like they're not built to be on Earth. They're angelic presences, and so they have to make deliberate, extreme efforts to like transmute their way of being to function here on Earth in a three-dimensional capacity, which can be very different and very limiting and very painful and full of suffering. So my feeling is that you're doing a really good job of staying in the now to the point where you're almost amazed at yourself. Okay, like, wow, I didn't even know I could do this. Wow. So let's take advantage of the moment. My feeling with the Ace of Wands here is that it's just almost like somebody who's literally running around crazy just after having won the jackpot at Las Vegas. And it's like, my gosh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should go running around the streets stark naked and telling everybody. Or maybe I should actually just pretend as though nothing happened and own all this energy very discreetly and just radiate it like a glow. I'm not sure what to do yet. This is very exciting. So it's very, very new energy. You might feel as though like new energies are happening for you anyway. I mean, big shifts are going to happen soon enough in April, in May, pardon me, when Uranus moves into Taurus, but that's not a direct hit on you. You might just be picking this up in the way that a lot of people are getting buffeted and hit head on. You might be getting clear passage and going through all these challenging times right now, thinking, oh my gosh, I really am the lucky one here. So, like, instead of you having to be in deep trouble seeking guidance and help from others, you end up being the one where people come to for solace and understanding and wisdom and advice, and you become you can use the healing power of your decisions to be literally like a firebrand in that way that allows you to start and to recalibrate your life from a new perspective so that happiness is the rule, joy and love and light is the rule, being guided and be protected is the rule. That is how it actually works. It isn't about like, oh, have I got the right 401k plan? Oh my gosh, have I completely organized my closets? Everything's prep. I mean, you got to do all that stuff anyway. All I'm suggesting is that there's more to the three-dimensional aspects of life, and I think you're really waking up to it here in a very glorious way. So how do we do that so we don't lose the momentum here? Because there's a lot of momentum. It's like literally the skies are opening up on top of you. So how do we do this effectively? Well, you do it very, very slowly and methodically. In other words, with all this amazing like power here and light and love and uh, let me hold on. I just want to get back to this and the capacity to express this and manifest this. How are you going to do that without the whole thing blowing up? In other words, again, go back to the analogy of you being like a lottery winner. Are you going to be one of those nutcases who blow it all in 1 year? You buy 3 mansions and 2 super yachts and you give everything away to your friends, and then you start going into counseling for being a complete nutcase and having lost it all. Whereas instead, if you take the long-term investment approach, you take your good fortune and you treat that as gold, and then you invest that so the gold grows itself. So you never, like in terms of finance, you don't touch the principal. That's one of the principles of growing finance and money. You take the asset and you use that as a plant and a seed to grow more. You don't deplete the asset and spend it out. So if you think of yourself like the responsible farmer, you're planting seeds for the future with a long-term perspective. You're not squandering all your wealth and power and abundance and abilities here in the now. Just the opposite. So that's how you do it. Long-term, slow and steady, understanding how lucky you are, going forward like that. Nothing glamorous here. No need to show off or prove anything. Just be aware of how incredibly lucky you are. Consequently, that takes you, to me, it feels like it's taking you into a whole new way of being that you've never really anticipated before. You might not even known that this kind of stuff was possible. And so it takes you into this perhaps um, feeling like, you know, you know what happens to lucky people? All of a sudden they become really paranoid, like, oh my gosh, now they're going to want everything from me. All my aunts and uncles and nieces and people that I've never known before, all of a sudden they're going to be my best friends, and they're going to come out crawling all over me, trying to get to my good stuff, get to my energy, and tap me out. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And it's good to know that. It's very important to be aware about how vulnerable you are when you have so much, because there are so many people who need so much because there is so little light and joy in their life that they might literally just jump on you to try and get that. So that could be very, very disorienting for you if you've never had that experience before. In other words, people who are very fortunate, but they didn't know it, and then they suddenly realize it, that can really change your aura dramatically, where you get all these Klingon people coming after you, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, just go away, leave me alone, people. Because what you need to still be genuine here. You just because you have like the aura of good fortune and light and guidance and protection and the authority to carry this and the inspiration to do so doesn't mean you just give it away. All right. So what happens if you lose track of how lucky you are? Okay. You get lost in a maze. Okay. What happens when you understand how incredibly lucky you are? Just for that moment, that fragment in time where you have that amazing kerblam awakening and you realize it. It's like, to me, it feels like liberation from the maze, where all of a sudden what was very, very confusing, so confusing and let's just say obstructive to the point where you felt you couldn't get on in life, all of a sudden that kind of disappears. Everything falls away, and you get a chance to like see everything from a new perspective. So that even when the scary things happen, even when these new things start to happen, that always happen to people once they wake up and go to a radically new level of evolution, it's amazing in its own right, but it comes with its own set of new challenges, okay? So you need to be very aware of that as you go forward. Whenever you mess up or slip up or take all your good fortune for granted, you end up almost like stuck in a maze again. But when you constantly like reaffirm to yourself, I'm very lucky, I'm very wealthy, I'm very happy, I'm very blessed, then the energy of the maze becomes like an optical illusion. It's literally just a fear, a shadow thing. Consequently, I mean, not consequently, but more like, where is this taking us to the next round? Okay, so this might be in some ways. Now you might not be feeling this directly. This is, to me, feels like it's taking you into a new place, new way of being that you've really never known before, almost like virginal. Okay, so you know how people evolve, like all of a sudden, like they discovered their spirituality or something, and it's such a radical shift from their three-dimensional existence. It blows their life away, it blows their mind away. All of a sudden, everything's synchronistic. All of a sudden, their angels are talking to them. All of a sudden, they are magnetizing opportunities to them, and the things that don't work for them are falling away. Whatever is yours comes to you. Whatever is not yours moves away, and it's almost like clear passage happens just by magic. In other words, everything that was terrifying and frightening suddenly opens up to new horizons where it's just like, huh, I thought this was only in movies, people. Well, what exactly is going on here? Um, I guess it doesn't really matter because this is so cool. The thing is not to forget, not to, wait a minute, what's that over there? Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, everybody, guess what? I've just discovered my spirituality. I've just discovered synchronicity. I've just discovered how to talk to angels. And I've just realized that they talk to me too. And all the other, like, all the advanced super gurus are saying, oh, Gemini. Well, 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 you poor thing. It's okay. Well, you'll get used to it after a while. And you go like, oh, wait a minute. Why didn't anybody tell me this before? And they would have said to you, dear Gemini, you were not ready, but now you are ready. Woo! And then when you come back down to earth every now and again, it's just like, hey, everybody, guess what? You have absolutely no idea what it's like in the great beyond. Well, let me tell you. All right. So I don't want to spoil it by saying any more. All the best, Gemini. Take care. Make the best of your good fortune and your power and your light and your guidance, your most awesomeness. Take it very gently, very steady. Think it, conduct it all, do it all. How do you do it? Like a very noble, conscientious farmer. Okay. All right. Bye bye. All the best. Whew, man, that was crazy.